Welcome, everybody, to Candidly Copilot. And I am your host, Mike Gannotti, along with co-host
Stout.
And we are joined today with special guest
Maria Kurian.
And Maria, we're excited to have you here because 'tis the season, folks. Ho, ho, ho. Maria has a great announcement about something very cool that's coming out. And would you like to go ahead and talk to people, Maria, about the 12 days of Copilot tips?
Sure. Thank you, Mike. Hello, everybody. So it's the season, as Mike said, and we want to help you prepare for your holidays, time off, as well as help you come back or be more prepared when you come back after your holidays. And we're going to be sharing 12 days of Copilot tips, one per day across different M365 Copilot products that you use day in, day out at work. So watch out. We have a LinkedIn campaign starting today. So putting in the post. We'll share the link to the post as well.
Mm-hmm.
And me and a couple of my colleagues will be posting a tip one per day, again, as we said, which you can try on M365 Copilot and let us know what you see. But again, the idea is to help you prepare for before time off, during time off, and after time off.
You know what I love about this, Maria, is it's using it for something real world that people are doing, right? It's practical, it's easy. And instead of just, like myself and Chad yapping away, you're showing something useful. And so, I mean, it's great. And the people that are doing it are your folks that you work with. And tell everybody who you are, because Maria's much smarter than us. I don't know what else to say.
Yes. Yeah, I'm a cloud solution architect, a Copilot cloud solution architect now. And the folks, all of us who are putting up this campaign, we work day in, day out with our health and life sciences customers in using our, adoption with Copilot, how they can customize Copilots to their needs and their needs of the industry. And again, as you said, Mike, it's the busy season. You don't want to, it's always gets anxious when you need to take time off and when you have a lot of deadlines that you need to meet close to the end of the year. So use or embrace Gen AI to help you with those tasks. It's not something that you need to, look for a scenario to use it, rather than use Gen AI to your day-to-day tasks. So that's kind of how we've had multiple customers in the last 1+ year who've been using Copilot for M365, and we want to share that goodness with everybody, so that they can speed things up or use those features and prompts to prepare for the season.
Awesome.
Yeah, obviously, Maria, you and the other cloud solution architects, Copilot cloud solution architects, kind of our right-hand persons, right-hand man, right-hand women. You guys are definitely a little more hands-on with customers. And so I myself, I'm going to tune in for the 12 days of Copilot. Maybe I will likely learn something. I imagine, right, one of those Copilot examples could be coming back from the holidays, summarizing
exactly
an email inbox that's, after 4 days of being off for Thanksgiving was a little, well, it's overwhelming. It's still full of unread messages. So can't wait to participate and see what you have for the 12 days of Copilot prompts.
Yes, thanks, Chad. That's exactly what we're going to do. And just wanted to let everybody know it's going to be individual posts on LinkedIn. It's going to be from multiple folks. And again, we'd have the kickoff article pinned to this conversation. But apart from that, watch out for each individual post and please try them out and give us your feedback.
And I'm just going to throw this out there. This just hit me. I have little light bulbs once in a while that go off in this empty head of mine. And one of them was, so you're going to be doing those posts on LinkedIn. So absolutely be looking there to help provide a single post to all posts, because I'm going to be following this. Like, I'm going to be bird dogging, watching what's going on, because like Chad, I have a lot to learn. We all do. And so what I'll do, Maria, is we'll put up a post about your posts, and then we'll put a link with a brief description to each of the posts as they come out. We'll just build that. So I'll make a short link, aka .ms/12 days of Copilot. I think.
Love it.
We'll see if that's available.
Yep.
Cool. Well, thank you, Maria. And I know you said you have to drop because you have better things to do than to sit here with Chad and I.
No, I wish I could, but yes, I do have to drop. Thank you for having me and looking forward to those posts. I mean, using the goodness of Copilot this
That's
season.
right. Awesome. Thank you. Have a
Thanks
great
for
rest of your
joining
week,
us,
Maria.
Thank you.
All right. So now you're stuck with just the two of us, but I think we have some interesting things to talk about, right? So what were you talking about, Chad, with,
Yeah, Mike, I think so, right? Like there's endless content for us to discuss here, but, our last episode, we hit on kind of the high level themes, that we pulled out of Ignite and we've shared with our customers. I think, number one, first and foremost, secure future initiative. How are we helping customers secure their data estate and govern that data estate in this age of AI? Number two was kind of this idea around personal productivity gains using your friend Copilot for M365, right?
Yep.
And then this idea around enabling, enhancing, and innovative new processes within your organization, leveraging things like Copilot Agent Builder and Copilot Studio, right? Which is a whole different arena when it comes to productivity gains, right? Because when we come to work, we have tools, we have processes, right, to help us accomplish really getting work done, right? And so how will generative AI help us do that, right? Like taking action on our behalf, right? This idea of agentic, right, or agency, where the Copilot essentially knows what to do with the information in the next step in the process, right? And sharing that information between agents to essentially, right, support an existing process, innovate around new processes, right, that are, at the end of the day, pretty time consuming. What we're here to do a lot of times, right, outside of personal productivity, is follow processes to get work done. So I talked about that. We talked about that a little bit this morning. I thought that was something important for us to focus on in this episode, because I think it's pretty, of those three announcements, right? Like, it's a newer concept, it's a newer idea, but man, is it going to blow this thing wide open from a generative AI perspective. Yeah. And I know, Mike, you've already built some things, right? Like I've built a few for customer demos, but you're actually building some things internally for our processes and engagement with executive leadership and things of that nature. Do you want to kind of explain what you've built, and we can walk through those to actually give people an idea?
Yeah. So if our boss is watching this, Tavis, I'm not going to show any sensitive data. That's just to put your mind at ease. But I will give a kind of a quick glimpse, because it kind of shows you where we're at and what we've done. So let me go ahead. I don't need that here. So let me move that out of the way. And I'm going to share this screen. And we'll start with this. So in just a second. So what I'm going to show you, we're exactly what Chad's talking about, this idea of leveraging the power of Copilot to kind of change your processes. And for us, we work in healthcare and life sciences group nationally. So we have a large sales team that we help support, and they need help getting data around the things to provide to customers, to show, to provide to IT, to C-level, to VPs, directors, and blah, blah, et cetera, et cetera. And they're always hunting and scavenging. And resources, like many of our customers, are all over the place. And in particular, there was a initiative and a need to start to say, hey, look, we want to provide a single place for our people not only to go to find the information, which we could do, we've been able to do for years. You can throw up a SharePoint library, right? And you can put all this stuff in it. But then how do you find what you need? It's like the needle in the haystack. There can be so much stuff, right? And in our case, it could be case studies, use cases, demos, all kinds of different things. And so they said, look, we want to make it easy for them to do that. So initially, the thought was, all right, we're going to dump all this in SharePoint, as in years past. We didn't have access to developing Copilot as of yet. And so the genesis started with this, a Power App, right? Building a Power App. Now, I'm not going to go in and search. If I click search and then submit, or search here, and from this interface, I can both submit content and search for it. That was the genesis for us to begin. Come in here. We have a Power App that you can go in and you can, do searches. And as long as the word is something that appears in the information and data captured in the library and in the metadata, it'll pull it back. But you got to know exactly what you're looking for. And all it's doing is retrieving the chunk of information. So, for example, if there's a use case and there's a Word doc written up about it or a PowerPoint, it brings up the whole piece. It can't reason across that data and then generate, like, let's say I said, hey, I want to know what are the typical use cases that I see for clinicians, clinical workers in a healthcare provider space, leveraging the power of Microsoft 365 Copilot. And I want it to pull just from the specific information, not from all of Microsoft, but the stuff that we've authorized, we've said is authoritative, and is in this one definitive spot. This can't do that. Copilot can, but this can't. So we first started with this, with the hey, someday maybe they'll give us access in our own environment to do that. And then they turned on in our environment the ability to do agents in SharePoint. And we got all excited. So, and one day I got called to a meeting because I just had let our manager know, and then he let his manager's manager know, who then said on the fly, Mike, can you demo how to build that? I said, oh, okay. And so I went into a library and showed building an agent, and I'll just pull this up just as an example, but going in and saying, hey, I want to create an agent for this library of information, and then getting a link and putting it in, but it still wasn't a nice, elegant solution. It was powerful, but not quite what we were looking for. Recently, with Ignite, they finally turned on for us a number of the things that now our customers have. So what we then migrated to, and I just built that, and it built this, and it just went live, was an agent that surfaces itself in BizChat, or the Copilot chat here. And if you're in Teams, you know that this appears in Teams as well, and that's the idea. I'm just showing you this so the users don't see my whole Teams, but it shows in both places, right? And I can come here in this agent, and it follows. I even used your dialogue on last week when we talked about the launch. As part of it, I said, this becomes, as my colleague Chad has said, an app on your phone. It's now that app in Teams or in BizChat. And so here's this Copilot made easy. It's straightforward. It's simple. It's actually pulling from a couple of repositories of information and data, right? And then we have some high-level find me use cases for human resources, some high-level predetermined ones where people can click, get information, data. But because it's Copilot tuned to just this specific repositories, it looks just to them to get back information. They can free type, they can do just like I said earlier, and have that. And we then shared that app as a link. The announcements are going out later today. People can click on it. In fact, also here, we're still using this to input data, right? So if I submit new, I can click this, and it gives me all the fields and all that stuff, which is still powerful. that was the beauty. None of this went to waste, right? This Power App. So submission of data we do here to capture all the rich information, and it actually takes all the metadata. So we can even do external links, like to you and I's podcast. They're actually in this repository, because when you fill in and then give a link, it takes all that metadata in the link and it creates a document that it drops in.
So Mike, quick question.
Yeah.
You mentioned it in that 2 sentences ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and I know this was an announcement specific to the creation of agents in Copilot Studio. I don't see it yet in my experience, but were you able to essentially create the Copilot based off the Power App, or is that capability not there yet?
We didn't do that. What I did,
Okay.
actually, I mean, I can show you what I did. I came into here and I said, create a Copilot agent right here.
Yep.
Then I gave it a description of what I was looking for.
Yep.
I also gave it the links to the repositories that I was referencing. Yep. Then once I did that, it gave an initial outlook. I then clicked configure. I then, did some final tuning here. We changed up a little bit of it looks and reasons across all that and gives it suggested prompts. You can put 6 of them in here, right? Yep. But what we did was then we went in as a team, reviewed them, changed some, and deleted some and put our own in.
So a little bit of manual configuration still required. Yep. But
Absolutely.
In the very near future, probably January timeframe, right? The point is, any work that you've put into building a Power App, right, is not right, isn't tossed away, essentially, right? You've defined, right, your data model within the Power App, right, or the sources of data, right, that you're going to access. You've kind of defined the UI, right? But in the very near future, January timeframe, I believe, right, I can essentially go into Copilot Studio and say, create agent from a Power App, right?
And what's powerful about that too? Because think about this then, like we have 2 separate links that we're providing. That one, it installs it into your teams, right? Run this, click this link, it'll ask you to set up and enable and blah, blah, and then it just shows up for you. That's great. But then we have a separate URL that you go to input. When you do what you're talking about, then it can essentially take this process where when I click submit new, there's a bunch of fields that you go and fill out. You can have Copilot just, hey, I want to do the following, blink, and then you provide the information and it walks you through supplying that as an iterative piece versus having to go there and doing the same thing that we're doing here manually.
Which further streamlining a process, right? And quite frankly,
one-stop shop.
And I can't, like the part that I get excited about here, right, is the UI now becomes natural language.
Yeah.
Right. And how will that experience with the machine, right, change and evolve, right, and enhance and potentially innovate your organizational processes?
Yeah.
Right. Because it's no longer this static UI that you just, populate a few fields and hit submit or hit search, right?
Yep.
So it'll be very interesting. And I think that's, at least I felt a lot of that excitement coming out of Ignite, right?
Yeah.
Between my customers and my colleagues and the engineering teams that we engage with on the Copilot side of the house, there's a lot of, I think, genuine excitement around how is this really going to change, right, processes for organizations. In many ways, right, could redefine a lot of, what we used to do.
Absolutely. And, what I love about it is when we talk about AI, it really is one of those disruptive I'm just going to say disruptive technologies overall, right? But within that, we then get in, a lot of times IT gets freaked out. Sometimes business users, so much change. Why can't it be more, evolutionary versus disruptive? And this is really now the initial disruption of AI and these ideas, that's happened. It's still happening in many orgs. Light bulbs are still going off, and I get all that. But now what we're seeing is that steady, incremental, albeit fast, because AI is helping to inform AI and helping to build AI, right? But what we're talking about, what you're talking about, think about it, that's evolutionary within this area of, with us, it's around productivity, right? Microsoft 365 Copilot. So it's around the productivity in the flow of apps, making things available. Here now I'm making it available in BizChat and in Teams. Next we're starting to see you're going to be able to do things within Word and Excel and PowerPoint and blah, 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 all out of Studio, build these agents that really bring about. And the thing I like is, customers right from the beginning, and I can think of a couple of my customers that at time, they're like, they get it. They get the grand idea, but then they're dismayed or disappointed that we're not already there to the grand.
Get a little bit
and
of
they
that.
discount it, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, slow down.
Yeah.
These things are coming. But now we're seeing, like you said, this is the big change, right? Because we gave you in the flow of work the basics. Start to prompt, start to make your PowerPoint, make it blah, 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 do this and that. But now we're starting to see where we can go and build things that are purpose specific. Build your annual report, build your proposal for, like I worked years ago in financial services. I was corporate systems architect for very large, one of the largest in the planet, financial companies. And to get anything through, you had to do all this documentation, building, blah, blah. You're going to be able to start making purposeful things that used to take me weeks and make me take lots of Tums. Right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, serious,
Exactly.
You've been in the same boat.
Yeah.
And so have this do it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think in upcoming episodes we're going to be able to share a lot more as the capabilities roll out to our tenant. I did one during Copilot Early Access Program for a philanthropy team at a healthcare provider. It's usually, I think the departmental name is usually development, but we essentially created a process, right, where we went from email dropping into an inbox to summarizing those emails or those RFPs or those grants, in a Word doc, which then could be used to create a PowerPoint presentation from the Word doc. Well, take some of the manual content switching out of that and build an agent to do the whole thing, right? So I'm actually, once all the capabilities are there and available to us, I want to rework that kind of philanthropy use case around grant proposals and RFP responses, to essentially build a Copilot to do it all, right? Do it from kind of A to Z, and in fact, I think in at least my initial attempts, it's already enriching, the output, right? It's enriching it from a qualitative perspective, right? The quality of the work is enriched through that Copilot. One thing I think is important, Mike, and I don't know that we've called it out because man, it's tough, right? We're talking about Copilot. We're talking about Copilot agents. And there's a difference, right? You have Copilot for M365, and you can create an agent within that Copilot for M365 experience, which you just showcased, right? By essentially publishing that Copilot to multiple channels, right? Through the browser and then through Teams, and it could be through different channels as well, right? And then there's this idea around, hey, I'm going to create my own custom Copilot, right? Like a declarative custom Copilot, which is essentially a Copilot that sits on its own, right? It doesn't need to be, it can be published to multiple channels, right? But it's not a Microsoft Copilot specific agent. It's its own agent.
So,
and there's some confusion, right? I know I've spent the last week, seems like week and a half, helping customers understand that difference, right? So if you, exactly right here. So that's exactly what I was looking for you to bring up. This is Copilot Studio, and you see that Mike has agents. And then if he clicks on Copilot for M365.
Oh, I was going to click on this is the one I did last time. Because it includes all that.
See if it comes up here.
There we go.
Yeah, so this is its own Copilot agent that you can essentially define the knowledge, the topics, the actions, right? The activity. You can get analytics on how your Copilot's being used. But if you go back, Mike, I'll have you go back. Just go back to agents. You could
there we go.
There. So if you click on Copilot for M365, right? Now you see that tab for agents within Copilot for M365. So I can create an agent and publish it through my Copilot for M365 experiences. They don't necessarily have the power that a custom agent does, right? Because you're limited in the configuration, right? And access to data sources and the like. But I just wanted to point that out, right? Like there's this whole category of Copilot for M365 agents that you can build or are pre-built based on third-party services you may use. ServiceNow is a super popular one, right? And then there's this category of agents, Copilot Studio agents, declarative agents, agentic agents, right, that can pass knowledge amongst each other to get a job done, as an example.
Exactly.
So,
you know,
just wanted to point that out there, Mike.
When you were talking about that, one of the things that it made me think of, and it goes back again to real world, and you might have been the one that I think it was you that shared it with me. Maybe it wasn't. I don't remember. I'm just old. But so we had our things called connects, right? So we do this quarterly review, and it's like, how great am I? Oh, manager of mine, look at all the ways that I've met all the criteria, for work. And everybody's got that. Personally, I hate doing that. I hate it.
I don't know many people who do.
And so somebody, maybe it was you, maybe it was somebody else, told me, hey, have you seen, and they said there's a prompt.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like a prompt.
Yeah.
But no, it's a prompt. Right? It's a prompt. And it does a whole workflow and everything. But up until now, if you wanted to do purpose-built things that grab data, format, do more, interrogate, go to other data sources, and do all that stuff, you had to build the prompts from the netherworld, right? And put that up here. And so this is an example. I used this for my
Good for you,
my Connect.
Yeah.
I ran it, right, and it walked me through. But this is the kind of thing, instead of you having to deal with, oh, goodness gracious, having to be, this is, to build this, you're a programmer at heart. The statements in here, I don't see your average
variables
user sitting down. I certainly would not. I'd be like, tell my manager I did a good job. That's my prompt. But you'll be able to build those kind of agents, purpose-built agents. Hey, I want to pull it up in Word and build a doc, right? Which is what this ended up doing, or I want to do it here or there or whatever. And you'll be able to build those in Studio, mission specific, going back to like that idea of, hey, we have a major project with timelines and we have the final deliverables, and that data is all over. Instead of manually doing it, having a purpose-built agent that your corporate architecture teams are using, or your business teams are using for quarterly business reviews, et cetera, having those agents done with all the processes built, pulling from data. And
it doesn't mean the human's not still in the loop, right? I mean, we still have to take a look at that final product and say,
yes,
yeah, this is exactly what we anticipated delivering, right? As
I had that in mind.
Yeah, you're not going to get, it's not coming back perfect, right? At least, and then again, right, you've got kind of citations that you can link into and say, okay, that's where that data came from. I don't like where that data came from. It's kind of, right, it's not accurate. It's not representative of what we want this final product to be. So we're always, at least for the near future, right, I think we'll be in the loop for quite some time, right? So
I agree. And I think though, as you look, it's getting more and more exciting to me, because like here, this is that Office 365 one, right? Like you were saying, if I want to add knowledge, you can see it's starting to add here some of the different knowledge sources, right? That people are going to be able, including third party and other ones that you can enable for your folks, custom ones you can put in. But then when you get into, well,
and if you don't see a connector right there, you can build your own, right?
Build your own. Well, that's back here, that's what I was going to show in this particular. So this is not an M365 specific one, but building an agent, right, that can pull from your N3. I have this pulling sources, internal and external. But then you can start to do things like, hey, I want to build actions, right? And I want to pull data from Excel spreadsheets, or I want to create custom flows and workflows, upload new skills, add an API for a custom connector.
Yep.
I mean, it's just
that's important, right? Because I was a little kind of set aback this morning when we had a little bit of pre-call with Maria. I didn't realize, like, my thought process on an action was, hey, that's going to be back-ended by Power Automate, right? And a flow is going to kick off to take action on my behalf. But it's much more than that, right? As you see at the top, it's connectors, it's custom connectors, it's Power Automate. There's a flow there, right? It's skills and libraries. So libraries, right, that are available from maybe third-party offerings,
or internal offerings that you built,
or internal offerings,
and
right?
Repurposing,
right. And I'm taking a big guess here, right? But that library could potentially include other Copilot agents that do a specific thing that you want to pipe that finished product into, right? To take another action on your behalf. And so that's where it gets super exciting. That's where, right, organizational processes and workflows are going to be revolutionized.
And again, this is just the beginning. That's what's killing me, right? This is just the beginning of it. We're just starting. This is like totally, for me, like my wheels are spinning and spinning, right? And it's just, but we're really still just in the beginning. Exciting.
Well, Mike, good stuff today. We got something to talk about every time. I think, in fact, it's odd, right? We were sitting there this morning thinking, okay, we got 3 things that we could talk about. Which one do we want to do today? But these are, typically things that come up during conversations with customers or colleagues. So it's a huge community. We're all going to learn from each other, and there's a lot of learning to be done here. Even though we're in the very beginnings of this, any learnings that we tackle today, right, we're gonna be able to build upon those as these technologies kind of mature over time.
Yeah, it's exciting. So stay tuned. I know we have an exciting one. I think we're going to do next week. We'll say that for them, but it's a real world thing that somebody was struggling with and actually wrote a letter, wrote an email to us about.
We have one fan, Mike.
Huh?
We had one fan.
We have a fan.
We have a fan.
Hey, fan. But we're going to address
awesome.
their real world scenario. So, and with how you can actually do something like this, which I love, because what the thing that they were describing is something that a lot of shops would benefit from.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
You got anything else?
That's it for me, Mike.
That's it for me. I'm all talked out.
Yeah. And we got a whole week to look forward to.
Whole week to look for. It's packed week. Yeah. So, all right. Well, from Candidly Copilot, Mike,
Chad,
bidding
thanks
everybody
for joining us.
Yes. Thank you. And have a great day. Have a great week coming back for us 4-day weekend. Take care. And as always, ciao.